I guess I can come right out and say it. We live in a traumatized, toxic world. There, I said it. You know, a lot of the stuff that you're feeling, a lot of the discomfort, the maybe anxiousness, maybe confusion, instability, insecurity, it's not just you. It's rampant. It's everywhere. We are all feeling a level of distrust and instability that didn't exist 100 years ago, even 50 years ago. Um, it's unparalleled. And as a result, there's two ways we can approach it. We can get very angry, right? We can get very upset. We can become very primal, right? We can become very silent, very kind of the most primitive kind of tribal. You know, there's a kind of tribal which we can band together, or there's a kind of tribal where we become, warlords, or we really can come together. In 1906, there was a woman named Dorothy Day. She was 8 years old in 1906 during the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. She lived in Oakland, devastated the entire area. She later became a nun and was canonized as a saint because of the incredible work she did. But she said at 8 years old, after the earthquake, she noticed that everybody was taking care of everybody. She said, why can't we live like that all the time? In 9/11, 2001, I was living about 2 miles from Ground Zero in New York City. And it was the same thing. For quite a while afterwards, it was a very quiet city for a while, but everyone was taking care of everyone. It was so kind. It was not the New York City everybody knew. It was just absolute kindness everywhere you went. Why can't we do that all the time? Maybe that's what these times are calling for. An opening. When I got into spiritual teaching and spiritual practice, it was really my first exposure to it was really about the heart. It was metaphysical healing. It was about healing illnesses, physical illnesses, emotional, psychological, financial, whatever it was that it came up. It was much later that I got into the deeper non-duality and spiritual inquiry, self-inquiry kind of things. So I've never really lost that spirit of keeping in touch, which I refer to almost as a religious sentiment, the sense of surrender, that sense of deep humility in front of something just incredibly large and awesome. And although there have been times I've drifted away, I felt very cut off, felt very, very lost, very, very confused. There's something that's always pulled me back to an enlightenment of the heart. And there have been times I get lost in my head, right? It gets very, very abstract and very, very heady, which if you've ever been exposed to non-dual teaching, it can get, because it's very precise. It's intellectually very engaging and very precise. And so as a result, it can get very much into your head about it. Usually it's right about that time that I get the boiling hot soup in my lap, right? The cosmic 2x4 comes down, something tragic happens. And I'm fortunate enough to have had a lot of just total disasters befall me in my life to remind me to not get too far off the track, that the track is, there's an awakening of the head, but it has to move south. There's an awakening that has to take place in the heart. And the experience of that is usually feels like the heart breaking. It feels like life falling apart. Some call it a dark night of the soul. It's suddenly it's like your life is falling apart when you thought it was supposed to be keep going this way. And a lot of people talk like that. Yeah, it's supposed to, no, you just raise your vibration and this is the way it's supposed to go. I don't really buy that. I think our hearts are supposed to open and open and open so that like Dorothy Day said, why can't we all be like this all the time? Well, in order for that to happen, our hearts have to open and stay open. Now, that doesn't mean naive. It doesn't mean just completely vulnerable. It doesn't mean not wisely discerning who you can trust and who you can't trust. There's a flow between wisdom and compassion, right? The most loved and famous and well-known of all the goddesses of the East is Kannon, Kanzion, Kuan Yin, Kwanum. She's got a lot of names around there, but she's both the goddess of wisdom and the goddess of love. She started out as male, Avalokiteshvara, and became Kanzion, the goddess of wisdom and the goddess of love, the goddess of the mind, the goddess of the heart. She is both. She pours out wisdom and compassion. So there's this flow between between knowledge and love, and both have to be present. Right? It is the sword of truth and the heart of Christ. And this is the balance and flow. This is what genuine awakening, genuine enlightenment is for me. And this is what I try to convey in all of my teachings. This is what I bring to the retreats. I'm doing a retreat called Finding I Am. And it is about finding the center of your being. It's no accident that the I Am, the true self, Ramana Maharshi referred to as the heart. The center of our being, the I Am, who you really are. The answer to the question of who am I is the heart. Now, you can't answer that question by, oh yeah, it's the heart, because that's just the thought. You actually have to connect up to the heart. Connect up. It's visceral. It's like it feels like it's in the body. I mean, it's beyond the body. It's deeper than the body, but it's connected there. I can get lost in trying to express it. It's much better to just kind of join together in going into it, the experience of it. So that's what the retreat I'm doing is about. I'll be recording it, so it'll be available after the fact if you can't make it on Sunday the 29th. I'll be breaking it up into piece parts, so it'll be easy to digest. But it's going to be a half a day. I'm going to invest 4 hours into it. I'm going to be doing 3 different ones based on 3 different texts from 3 different kinds of traditions. A modern non-dual one, and quite an ancient one, and one from Sufi mysticism, which is just a beautiful text which uses more traditional terms like a god. And but it's all directed at exactly the same thing: finding the center of our being, the heart of our being, and not just finding it as something I find, but finding me in it. Finding myself, finding the truth of my own being, finding, as it says in the Rubu Gita, finding that Brahman, finding Shiva, finding God as the very nature of the worshiper, finding the Buddha as my very self. Or as Christ said, he who drinks of my mouth shall become as I am, and I shall be he. The two-ness just falls away, and there's the unity, the oneness of being. And this is in the heart. This is not just in the head. This informs the head, and that's the true enlightened wisdom. So I hope you'll join me in this. I've priced it very reasonably. If you buy a ticket to all 3, it's another $50 off. So I really hope you'll join me. It's all meant to be experiential and lasting. This is the kind of thing that once you touch it, it's a bell you can't unring. It will make a difference in your life. So until then, all my love to you. Namaste.